Alright, so I'll tell you a story. Two Indian guys, they died. They went to heaven. And they met up at the pearly gates with St. Peter. And St. Peter showed them around and said that they were welcome there and that they can go anywhere they want in heaven. Showed them all the beauties of it. Took them through the pearly gates. Showed them all the people up there. And then those two Indian guys, they went around heaven for a while. But then pretty soon they kind of got bored. So they done things to make themselves happy, and they remembered how they enjoyed life. And one of the greatest things they used to do in life was celebrate, powwow, sing and dance. So let's do that. That's what they wanted to do. They wanted to enjoy themselves, celebrate. They made it to heaven. So they did, and they celebrated. But God didn't approve of that. And the reason why He didn't approve of it, because when you dance, you have to make regalia. And so there's no birds up in heaven. So the boys, they went and started plucking feathers off the angels. And they had their outfits made out of angel feathers. And God kind of didn't approve of that. So here, He told St. Peter, he said, hey, I'm going to have you send those Indians down to the other place. He said, kind of punish them for, you're not supposed to do things like that up here, he said. And then, boy, St. Peter felt really bad. Boy, these guys must have been outstanding to make it to heaven. They must have paid their dues. They finally made it up here, but I've never had to give this message to anybody up here before. Usually it's in life that you do something wrong and end up there, he said. But I have to be obedient. He's the creator, so I'll tell him, he said. So he walked over to those Indian guys, and sure enough, the boys were stomping it out, singing. One guy would sing, one guy would dress up in all those angel feathers, get after it, dance. St. Peter kind of amazed by it, but at the same time he's sad too. He had to go and tell those two Indian guys that, give him the worst news he's ever given anybody in all of eternity since he's ever been in heaven. So he walked up to them, and his demeanor wasn't so good, but those Indian guys kind of seen him coming. Sure enough, he came up to them. He said, hey guys, he said, I'm sorry. He said, I have to give the most heartbreaking news I've ever had to give any being since I've been up here all of eternity, he said. But it gives me great sadness to let you know that you guys aren't welcome here. You've done things that God doesn't approve of, he said. So there's another place we're going to send you guys to, he said, and when you pay your dues down there, he said, then you can come back maybe sometime, he said. Those two guys kind of looked at each other, kind of confused, well, why even let us in here if we can't be up here to be happy and enjoy ourselves? Well, they're kind of used to that anyway. On Earth, they went through all kinds of historical traumas, Indian wars and all kinds of suffering already. So they looked at each other and said, all right, they're willing to accept and cooperate with the way things were. And so, where do we have to go? And he said, you go down this way here, he said, and then when you're going to get somewhere and there's going to be another spirit there, and it's going to be a dark place, he said, but they'll take you through that other door and you'll be in that other place, he said. So they said, okay. So sure enough, they went. They got to that other place. That being was there waiting for them. And he took them in there. And they told them that, yeah, St. Peter talked to us and told us that we're supposed to make you guys pay your dues. This is a place of great suffering, they said. When you do wrong, you have to be here, they said. So those two Indian guys kind of looked at each other, shoot, this ain't nothing, we suffered. We went through war, we went through famine, lost all of our lands. We went through great sadness already, so this place shouldn't be so hard, they said. So sure enough, they had to go in there. One of the first things they had to do was they had to go to that place where it's like lava, so hot that your skin just wants to melt off. But they're willing to do what they had to do, so they went in there, and then it was so hot and unbearable. But they kind of looked at each other and kind of nodded, and it reminded them that in life, one of our teachings as Native Americans, and probably it was told to them when they were young men, probably, is in life we want to be like our relatives. And so they always admired the strength of a buffalo. And one of the teachings of the buffalo is when there's a great storm, winter storm or anything, the buffalo will put his head down and he'll walk into the storm, knowing that that's the fastest way to overcome anything, because you come out the other side rather than stand there and endure it. It'll be a longer time. But if you put your head down and go into the wind, go through the storm, it's shorter. And so that was one of the teachings of the buffalo, and those two guys remembered that. That's why they could nod at each other when they're in a great place of suffering. And then so they're kind of going, and then they got to a place where it was just pretty warm, so they sat down. And then they remembered another teaching that we have, and it was another teaching that of ceremony, sweat lodge. In that sweat lodge, they remembered that they were going to be reborn. And so sometimes those rocks would come in that sweat lodge, and they're just like that color of that lava, same color like that, just piercing hot like that. And then it was they remembered that that's the way it was. So they sat down and they bowed their head and started to pray, start to kind of adapt to their surroundings. And in their prayer, they were seeking wisdom. They were the same way that we always pray when we go to sweat. And then it wasn't too long that the Spirit was watching them the whole time. It wasn't too long. He came up to them and he said, "Have you guys had enough yet?" He said. And those guys looked at each other, and they like to joke too, They looked at each other and said, "No, hey, these rocks ain't hot enough." They said, "Gonna have to heat them up a little more." And then kind of laughing like that, being lighthearted, Even in great suffering, they found the greatest, one of our greatest medicines, one of the greatest teachers is laughter. Keep us lighthearted, not take ourselves too serious, kind of keep the mood light like that. So they joked while they were there, and that Spirit seen that, and he said, "Gee, I don't know, I don't think we're ever gonna make these guys suffer." He said, "Shoot, if they can sit where they're sitting right now and laugh, that's a great deed." He said, "I think these two guys right here," he said, "I think they're the embodiment of what I remember God used to be." He said, "I see all the teachings that they embody that." He said, "They look like a mirror, like God. I wonder how come they're not in the other place," he said. And so when they told him that he needs to heat the rocks, they laughed. He said, "Oh man, I don't think these guys are gonna. I think I'm gonna have to go talk to St. Peter." So he went talk to St. Peter, told him what was going on. So St. Peter went talk to God. Sure enough, God told St. Peter a message. He came back, told that Spirit. He went back down, talked to those two Indian guys, and he told them. He said, "Hey, I got good news for you guys." He said, "This is a great place of suffering." He said, "But in this moment, in this news that I have to give you," he said, "I almost feel happy. I almost remember what it's like to feel happy." He said, "But the message I have for you is that place where you came from, God told St. Peter to tell me to tell you," he said, "that you guys are welcome to leave here and go back to another place." He said, "Not that same place that you came from." He said he's going to create another place. He said, "A place where you guys can be happy and do the things you guys enjoy. He said he's gonna, let's see, I think he had a name for it. He's gonna call it the Happy Hunting Grounds, I think. And there's gonna be buffalo, there's gonna be green grass and hills and eagles and birds and horses and all the things you guys used to enjoy when you guys were young. He said he's going to create that kind of a place for you, a spiritual place where you get to go there and you get to be yourselves, enjoy yourselves because of the great deed that you did when you came down here. He said, but I only ask one thing. He said, when you guys go up there, he said, I've been down here for a long time, he said, and I can't even remember what I did to get here, he said. But he said, I recognized, I watched you guys when you came here. He said, you didn't talk to me too much, he said, but I observed you guys, and I remember how Creator used to be, and I observed that through you guys. He said, so I'm going to start practicing what you guys showed me, he said, and what I ask you to do for me, he said, is when you get back up there, when you see God, he said, can you tell him, he said, that I want to go where you guys are going. He said, when St. Peter explained that place to me, he said, sound like a beautiful place. He said, I'm kind of tired of being in this place here. He said, I'd like to go be where you're at, he said. And so those two Indian guys looked at each other, nodded, then they went on their way. And so that's kind of just a story that I kind of channeled or whatever. I don't know how you say it, but just wanted to share and then kind of create something to help us get our mindset towards some of our teachings and kind of inspire that we do better in life.